Tonight, you may lie down in a locked room under a roof with walls around you and a phone beside your bed. The room is safe, at least by almost every modern measure. The door is closed, the windows are shut. Outside, the city keeps its distance. And still, one strange sound in the dark can make your body listen. Maybe it is a pipe clicking, maybe it is wind against the window, maybe it is footsteps in the hallway, or a silence that feels too empty. Before you even think, your body changes. Your breathing becomes smaller, your ears sharpen, your eyes open into the dark, and for a few seconds, sleep no longer feels like rest. It feels like exposure. This is strange because most modern bedrooms are safer than almost any sleeping place in human history. But your nervous system was not shaped only by modern bedrooms. For most of human history, sleep was not something a person performed alone behind a locked door. Sleep happened near other bodies, near fire, near familiar breathing, near children, tools, animals, weather, and the edge of darkness. Humans did not simply turn off at night as isolated individuals. In many ancient settings, sleep was something people survived together. Not because every group had a perfect guard schedule, or because someone always sat awake watching everyone else. The truth was probably messier and more human. Some people slept deeply, some slept lightly. Some woke for a moment and listened. A child shifted. An older person stirred. Someone moved closer to the fire. The group did not remove danger, but it changed what danger meant. A sleeping human alone is one of the most vulnerable animals imaginable. During sleep, the body becomes still. Reaction time slows, vision disappears, muscles relax, attention loosens. The same state that restores the brain also makes the body easier to surprise. Every creature that sleeps has to solve this paradox in some way. How do you become unconscious enough to recover without becoming too helpless to survive? For a modern person, walls, locks, alarms, and streetlights hide the problem. For ancient humans, the problem was not hidden at all. There was no switch that could fill the room with light. No police siren in the distance, no locked apartment door, no phone to reach the outside world. There was darkness and there were sounds inside it. There was weather moving over the land, animals beyond the camp, strangers in the imagination, and children who could not protect themselves. At night, the world did not disappear. It became harder to read. That is why the group mattered. One sleeping body is fragile. A sleeping group is different. Even if no one is officially guarding, a group has more ears, more noses, more bodies, more chances for someone to wake. One person may hear a branch snap, another may notice the fire fading, one adult may pull a child closer, another may shift position and break the silence. Safety was not located in one lock or one alarm. It was distributed across people. This is the quiet difference between privacy and protection. Modern sleep asks you to trust objects: a door, a mattress, a lock, a phone, a schedule. Ancient sleep asked you to trust living beings. The people near you knew your sounds. They knew your children. They knew if your breathing changed. They knew where the tools were. They knew the shape of the camp. They knew what belonged in the night and what did not. That kind of safety was not silent. It had the sound of breathing, shifting, whispering, fire cracking, insects, wind, and someone waking briefly before returning to sleep. Modern sleep often imagines the perfect night as one silent block. You fall asleep, disappear for 8 hours, and wake up cleanly in the morning. But human sleep may not have always felt like that. Studies of small-scale societies suggest that sleep can be flexible, social, and shaped by temperature, light, season, age, and group life. Researchers studying nighttime activity among the Hadza, for example, found that different chronotypes can create a kind of accidental vigilance. Not a dramatic night watch, but a simple fact. When some people sleep earlier and others wake earlier, the group is rarely completely still. This matters because ancient safety did not require everyone to be awake. It only required that sleep was not perfectly synchronized into one helpless silence. Someone might wake to adjust the fire. Someone might wake because a child cried. Someone might wake because the night sounded different. Then, after listening for a moment, they might sleep again. This is why waking at night is not always a sign that something is broken. Sometimes the body wakes because bodies have always needed to check the world. Not with panic, not with modern anxiety, just with a small ancient question. Is everything still okay? Fire made that question easier to answer. For ancient humans, fire was not just heat. It was a boundary drawn in orange. Inside the circle, there were faces, hands, tools, food, children, stories, and sleep. Outside the circle, there was distance, darkness, and things the eyes could not fully solve. Fire changed the shape of the night. It gave humans a center to gather around, a place to watch from, and a little more confidence against the dark. But fire was also alive in a fragile way. It could shrink. It could fade. It could need wood. It could turn from protection into smoke and ash. So the night had a rhythm. Flame, ember, listening, movement, sleep, and waking again. Anthropologists have observed how firelight can change human conversation, making night a time for stories, memory, imagination, and social connection. But around the same fire, another quieter thing was happening. The group was learning what safety felt like. Not safety as a rule, safety as presence. You can understand this without imagining ancient life as peaceful. It was not peaceful. There was hunger, injury, cold, insects, disease, conflict, grief, and fear. Ancient sleep was not romantic. It was exposed. But that exposure made trust visible. To sleep beside someone is to admit that you cannot defend yourself all the time. You cannot keep your eyes open forever. You cannot listen forever. You cannot hold the whole world alone. At some point, your body must let go. And when it lets go, it depends on what is around it. A child depends on an adult. An injured person depends on the group. A tired hunter depends on someone else's ears. Even the strongest person eventually becomes a sleeping body. This may be one of the oldest meanings of trust. Trust is not only believing someone. Trust is closing your eyes while they are near. Now compare that with the modern bedroom. You may have more comfort than any ancient human could imagine. A soft bed, a roof, clean sheets, medicine, electricity, a door that locks. Modern life solved many real dangers of the night, but it also changed the emotional shape of sleep. Many people now sleep alone, in sealed rooms, surrounded by artificial signals instead of familiar bodies. The phone glows beside the bed like a tiny private fire, but it does not watch over you. Apartment noises replace camp sounds. A stranger's footsteps above you may be harmless, but the nervous system does not always know that. Silence can feel peaceful, but it can also feel empty. And after a day spent around people without real dependence, the bedroom can become the first place where the body notices how alone it feels. This does not mean sleeping alone is wrong. It does not mean modern privacy is bad or that ancient life was better. It means the body may carry older expectations than the room around it can satisfy. It may expect darkness to contain other breathing bodies. It may expect night to have a shared rhythm. It may expect safety to be held by more than one nervous system. So when you lie awake after a strange sound, maybe your body is not being irrational. Maybe it is doing something very old. It is asking whether the fire is still alive. It is asking whether the group is still there. It is asking whether someone else is awake enough for you to rest. We gained private rooms, soft beds, locked doors, and the right to disappear into our own silence. But maybe we lost something quieter. The sound of familiar breathing in the dark. The sense that safety was shared. The feeling that sleep was not a performance, but a surrender held by others. For ancient humans, sleep was not just a private pause in consciousness. It was an act of trust. You closed your eyes because someone else was near. Because the fire was still alive. Because the group had not disappeared into the dark. Modern life gave us safer rooms, but some ancient part of the body may still remember an older kind of safety. Maybe you do not only need sleep. Maybe some ancient part of you still needs to feel that the world is being watched while you rest.